We'll post it on YouTube. You're comfortable with anybody and everybody seeing it.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Okay.
that.
And then if you ever want me to take it down, just holler.
Okay.
Or I'll make it private. And then if you're ever like, hey, I want it back up, I can
Okay.
privatize it. So why don't we start with?
My name is Brandon, and I'm diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, with major depression, reoccurring depression with PTSD, and it's been quite of a journey going through accepting my diagnosis and treating it, because it was left untreated because I didn't want to take medication for it, and it was just completely, I was in complete denial about it.
And how old were you when you first started noticing symptoms?
First was anxiety when I was 14. I was like crying outside for no reason. I was shaking, but I did have a vitamin D deficiency though. And the little kid me thought, thought like vitamin D didn't do anything, but it does. It does quite a bit. It's
what
a
do
big
you think
thing.
the relationship is between the anxiety you're experiencing and the vitamin D deficiency?
Well, yeah, with the deficiency, I notice I get more tired, more depressed, and more longer episodes of depression instead of being shorter. Because, yeah, it helps even with my mood and depression. Yeah, it really does help.
Thanks. And then tell us, so 14 is when you noticed
Yeah.
this anxiety that you couldn't really explain. And then at what age did you start to notice your symptoms of schizophrenia?
Schizophrenia started when I attended college, and that was a complete, like, a thing that was completely, took me off guard because I was acting funny, I had some weird episodes and things I can't remember. But being in college, though, was quite enlightening. It's just, I had a bully there, so.
And what were you majoring in?
Major fine, I was majoring as an artist, and I want to become a professor, an art professor, but as the manifestation of my symptoms started to get a lot more intense, that I started going like downhill, and then I got physically sick.
Okay, and then share with us, when you were in college, what's the first symptom you recognized looking back that was part of your schizophrenia diagnosis?
Delusions.
Delusions. And can you do you remember what those delusions were?
One was like, oh, I made a video game, but I didn't. It was like something probably that was probably drilled in my head. That was kind of weird. And that was some weird things. And being in college, I noticed too, was mainly just delusions that consisted of persecution and stuff like that.
Like people are out to get you, kind of?
Yeah, because I had that bully on me, and it was, it's kind of weird.
And the bully was quote unquote real, right? Like she was at your
real.
college.
Yeah.
But because of the bullying, you think that led to the delusion of persecution.
Yeah.
And okay.
Because she would like make up lies like about me, because I would hear it. Like I'll be going to the gym and I would head to the showers, and one time I heard her like telling people like, don't go in there, this and that, lying about me, and it just made my time accepting my condition a lot worse.
Absolutely.
Because I was too focused on her instead of focusing on the root of the healing. Because I noticed with medication, I wouldn't say it's a Band-Aid. Some medications are like Band-Aids, because getting to the root cause of the trauma and finding reasons, and I found that out through this year. This year I really found all this out.
And how did you figure out that the whole video game thing was a delusion?
When I actually, when I realized, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't do anything, and realizing that was just. I do remember that day. I was like really. I was really out of it though.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to imagine what the experience was like for you when you had this belief, and then one day you kind of realized that it's not true, and how you felt in that moment. Do you remember?
A lot of relief, but I feel embarrassed for saying a bunch of
Sure.
embarrassing things.
Yeah.
I embarrass myself more than what other people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, so then let's go after you realize, or let's go after the college incident. Then what's kind of the next thing in your timeline? The next big event?
Well, the next big event was being physically ill and mentally ill at the same time, and this is where my schizophrenia got really worse, and it developed into full-blown schizophrenia, screaming out of the window, talking just nonsense and not making any logical reasons, just ideas, believing everything I thought, because it sounded so good to me that I just believed it, and it didn't work out. Because when I was physically ill, I had an infection in my gums, because it was like a paper ball that was stuck in there for a long time. And that caused me to get sick, and it was slowly poisoning me. So it was driving me insane, and I didn't know infections can do that. Can get you delirious.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it's been going on for like about a year to 2 years.
So presumably you had an antibiotic for the infection, and then once the infection went away, how did you feel?
Good. I took it out in the mental hospital.
The tooth out?
No, the cotton ball that was stuck in that gum when they did a root canal, or like they extracted a wisdom tooth. Not a root canal, it was extraction for like wisdom tooth. And it just, I forgot to go back to get it out, and I forgot about it, and it just caused things to snowball.
Okay. So let me see if I can. So 14, anxiety,
Uh-huh.
and then 16, right, was when you first started to notice auditory hallucinations, or am I making stuff up?
Oh, no, not at 16.
19, college?
College, yeah.
And then when was your first hospitalization?
First hospitalization was in 2014.
And so how old would have you been roughly?
I don't know. I'm 28 now.
All right, someone watching can do the math for us.
Yeah.
But you're probably early 20s, you think?
Yeah, early 20s. It really blew up into a big thing. Because I thought I was just going through my teenage years, being a teenager, being moody, and all that stuff. But as I grew as an adult, it didn't go away, and my condition started to show itself. So it wasn't a good combination.
Right. Oh, let's see. What about what do you remember about your first hospitalization?
My first hospitalization was pretty intense because I didn't go like at the right time when they had good workers.
Mm-hmm.
Like this system, like mental health systems, have a lot of abuse in it, and I have seen that. I have experienced, and I have seen others experience it also. I was a witness.
Just check to make sure this is on. How comfortable are you sharing kind of some of the things you've witnessed in regards to being an inpatient somewhere?
Well, like 2014 through now to 2023, I've been in so many mental hospitals and so much that it was just completely like don't get me wrong, sometimes it was like a good experience. It's Russian roulette. You don't know when you're gonna get a bad like place in the hospital or with a bad group of people that are really worse or really sick. And it's just, I've been over at Cedar Springs, and that's why I say that, because they would abuse the patients, and the patients would abuse each other, and none of it will get reported.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a horrible place. It really is. And I had this one worker told me that she wanted to pull my hair out. She really wanted to pull my hair out. She actually said that when she walked by. And that was like really messed up. And
What was your response? Do you remember?
I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, oh, you heard me, or something like that. She talked back, and she joked about taking me off of my disability. Her name was, I'll call her H.
H.
Yeah.
And that was your very first time being in a hospital, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel like that experience?
Well, not that one wasn't. I didn't make that clear, but that one wasn't my first experience. But my first experience was like here in Pueblo at the ATU.
Okay.
Which is pretty. Had it first experience wasn't good, but the rest were after they got rid of this one bad worker, and everything just went into place. It's a nice place. Like, it's very safe there because it's stepped down, so they wouldn't let any of the patients get too out of hand. If they do, they have to go back to getting higher help.
Right.
Because that one's a step down. So it's really filled with people that are decently being able to fit like around other people without like having a constant security from suicide or harming others.
What was your understanding of schizophrenia before you were diagnosed with it?
Well, being diagnosed with schizophrenia, I never thought about being mentally ill when I was a kid. This wasn't like my ideal of a lifestyle, but the schizophrenia I noticed a lot more with like the voices. But I lived in the apartments one time, and that didn't turn out too good, because I thought people were jacking with me, and that's when I noticed the voices, because I was getting neighbors and voices mixed up, kind of like do here, but since we live in a non-apartment home, that is no longer an issue. Not really, not often, unless it's like a real ghost talking all loud. Because I would look outside and there's nobody. I'm like, oh.
What is that like for you, that experience? When you hear something like, I could swear there's something out there, and then you check and there's nothing.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and I'm built for the paranormal. I really am. So I'm built to experience weird things. I was very isolated. I isolated myself when I was younger. So being with schizophrenia and all that stuff, and hearing voices. See, there's like, because I believe in ghosts. So I believe in spirits and ghosts, or things that we can't see. See, some people see this as a delusion, but I don't. I do think something is like watching us, observing, and like we can't see them, but they can see us. And
you almost seem to suggest they were taking notes.
Yeah.
Like observing in what manner do you think?
Yeah, they were always observing like my art, or either what's going on, and they would react like people. It would sound like 3 or 4 people talking in my room, like from a distance. Like they wouldn't sound muffled, so it would sound in here, but it would sound kind of far away at the same time. It's weird.
And do you recognize any of the voices?
No.
How would you describe the tone of the voices you hear?
Oh, sometimes they joke around or talk to each other, or either they talk about what I'm doing in my room, and sometimes I talk to them. Like, I chat with myself quite a bit, and sometimes I talk to God, and I just talk to him about things about life, and just this whole experience has been very insightful, and I don't want to trade it for anything else.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, because I don't want to trade it for anything else, because I love knowledge, I love to learn, and I like to being the philosophical things.
Is it fair to say having schizophrenia for you has been a blessing?
And a curse at the same time, because I have to watch out for episodes where I get either too manic, like too high, or not manic, I think that's the word, like way too high, but way too low. And it's just, the hardest part was getting over the depression.
Mm-hmm.
Dealing with that depression, wanting to snuff out your own flame and stuff, and that is a very, like, it's a rough subject, and it's something that is should be treated seriously when somebody's like saying, oh, I'm gonna hurt myself, but it's just, I know people were probably thinking, oh, I was getting attention, but
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, you're good, dude. In fact, I was looking to ask you, should we continue this line of thought? Do you want to talk, because I know you mentioned schizophrenia and major depressive disorder, and
Yeah.
do you want to talk more about the major depressive disorder component to?
Yeah, that with the schizoaffective disorder, because schizoaffective is a schizophrenia with the mood disorder. So I have that. So like when I get depressed, I experience a lot more symptoms with my schizophrenia, of my PTSD too. So, and yeah, it's been a journey, and I finally no longer have the urge to like hurt myself or snuff out my own flame. I no longer want to do those things, because since I've been on a journey with finding Christ, and that actually has been beneficial with my schizophrenia. Somehow that helped.
And is, when you say finding Christ, is that the biggest change in your life that helped you get over the negative feelings you're having about yourself? And
It was beneficial for me to forgive, and I used to hold very deep grudges that would hurt me, and it would get me even more depressed. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that, and it would just be completely just nightmares at times. It's just a complete nightmare. Schizophrenia is very entertaining sometimes, though. It really is.
So I want to ask you something, because before we kind of went off on this tangent. So if you could have, let's just say you could snap your fingers and you could have your schizophrenia completely gone, or you could have the schizophrenia that you have, but you'd only have kind of the voices that are positive, would you stay with the positive voices, or would you want it completely gone?
We bonded with each other.
Really? So you have an attachment with your voices, in other words.
Oh yeah. In certain places they sound different too. It's kind of unique. So like here, that's the reason why I'm more of a homebody, because they know me, so they're chatting about, like, we know each other a little bit, but I don't name them. Mm-hmm. I haven't named them yet, because I just call them specters, as the word spectator, because it sounds like what they're doing is spectating.
And there's a total of 3?
No, more.
More? How many total would you say?
Different ones, probably like up to like 5 people, it would sound like mumbling away.
Okay. And sometimes you can make out what they're saying, other times you...
Oh yeah, I have like this funny moment. One time I was like doing something, and I had my head down, and I heard a voice like from distance in the corner, like, "What's up?" And I looked up, and he said, "Yo, mama." And I just started laughing. I was just laughing so hard.
What is your take on where they come from, why they are there?
I don't know. Sometimes it sounds like they give me some warnings, like when like somebody's like intruding, because it has happened. It's happened multiple times, and like my dad's car got like stolen into, and I heard like voices like, "Oh crap, he's in," and I was like, "What are they talking about?"
And is that before you knew?
Yeah, before I even knew. And
so they were predicting that your dad's car got broken into, right?
Yeah, or either like while it was happening.
Wow.
So I was like, and yeah, it would be like intuition too.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting things with.
So it almost sounds like a sixth sense in a way, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it does. But I don't talk to them Really, like as like familiar as like a witch does, because
Mhm.
I was an ex-witch. I was an ex-light witch.
Okay, explain that, because I think a lot of people are going to be lost when you say you were an ex-witch. What do you mean by that?
I would, like, I wouldn't manipulate people, but I would use nature. Like, I would use nature with me, and things that have been very insightful. Things have been very insightful with being a like. It was very insightful at the time, but um, it's just I started believing a lot of things that was driving me like insane,
Mm-hmm.
quite literally driving me insane, and um, I did have like quite a bit of fun, but I didn't do like any like hexes or anything like that.
I'm going to try to stay on your good side.
Yeah. Oh no, you don't need to worry about that because yeah, ever since I turned to Christ, I try to make sure I don't like how they would say in the Bible is returning like a dog would return to their vomit. I'm trying not to go back into that area of witchcraft because I'm trying to redeem and repent because it makes me feel better because my goal is to become a peer specialist also.
Mm-hmm. Can you, because I think a lot of people who might see this will have no idea what a peer specialist is. What, if you had to explain it to someone who didn't know what it was, what would you say?
Um, a peer support is where a person is specialized with their experience through life. Like somebody can use like like the complete bad things in their life for better things, like being an opiate addict, like being like opiate addict and getting off of opiates and starting to become a peer support and starting to be there for other people and actually understanding and comprehending emotions and having empathy. And that has been quite a bit of a journey because with me, because the reason why I want to come to peer support because I had a crazy past though.
Any experience you have with other peer support people walking you through?
When I called Crisis with Health Solutions, Crisis actually listened. They like there's this one peer support who was chatting and they're like, oh, and she was telling me like how to get to the application to the website, and even the people like that deliver my meds because I'm on med delivery because I'm not good about taking meds, and but they're trying to recruit me to become a peer support, and I sleep better at night trying to reach that dream, that goal. Instead of being an art professor, I would rather help and be there for somebody, and because I know how it feels to have everybody abandon you when you act crazy, and it sucks. It really does suck, but it made me tougher though.
I feel like you have more to say on this. Do you want to continue on this about more what you're thinking about right now, or I can ask you something else?
Yeah, you can ask me something else.
Share with me your meds. Are you cool?
Yeah.
Talking about kind of what you take and what you have taken, and all of that.
Oh yeah, I'm cool with that because I would watch this YouTube channel. You don't mind if I say it?
Go ahead.
Living Well with Schizophrenia. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would watch her videos, and she talked about her story of being restrained, and I was restrained too. I was a complete mess 6 years ago, and well, 2 years ago I was like at my like worst, but then like half a month later things started improving and getting better because realizing that I was almost homeless. Sorry if I went off a tangent.
No, you're fine. And then tell us your experience with taking psychotropic medication.
Would really say like with medication, keep on taking your medications, but the ones that I would realize and notice is the Abilify. I haven't been having like like very high and low moods, like no like low lows. But since my depression is getting better, I'm not like going that low. So I usually go really high and then like just like a caffeine crash, just high on energy.
What do the meds do for you? What have you noticed being on them?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, we were on the meds. See, and that's the part of the condition I tend to ramble on, and I kind of forgot a bit. But no, I remember about the meds. It's just, yeah, being on Abilify, that has helped with the depression. Sertraline for my the Abilify for my voices, and sertraline for my antidepressant, for my antidepressant, and I take like 3 things for my depression, like 3 to 4 things for my depression, and the Abilify is for the schizophrenia too. And it doesn't affect the voices. And the weird thing about the voices is, if I put earplugs in, they go away. I don't really hear them inside my head. I really don't.
Interesting. You're the first person who's mentioned earplugs making the voices. I know sometimes people wear headphones, and that seems to kind of help, but I've never heard of the earplugs. So you said the Abilify does not make the voices go away, right?
Well, none of the medications. I have like medication-resistant voices.
It doesn't change them in any way, though?
It makes the vent stop talking to me when it goes on. Like I would stop hearing like sounds talking. Like I would hear like voices from a distance, and I would hear that talking, and I would hear the whole like world and everything. So it was like overwhelming when I was like first dealing with schizophrenia.
And what is it? What do they do for your overall energy? How do you feel being on them?
Abilify has been quite nice with my depression, so which helps with that energy problem. But still, like I do a lot of caffeine though.
To help give you the additional boost. I'm gonna. This thing shuts off automatically 30 minutes. Let me just hit record and re-record, and then we'll.
Oh, is it okay if I take a break?
Yeah, you need a break. Let's do a break.
Yeah.
So Brandon and I just got back from a little break from our interview here, and do you mind just sharing? We were out just chilling outside, and you heard a voice. Do you mind sharing what the voice said to you, and then just kind of your interpretation of it and how you feel after hearing it?
Oh, like what we were just chatting outside, and what I heard was like it was my interpretation, like I heard like he's fake, and I was like, oh, well, it's just some of them do say stuff like that. They do get a little bit rude, and you know what? It doesn't hurt me anymore. It's actually teaching me how to deal with the world, because there's going to be people like that who just don't like you for anything. Like you will do like a lot of great things, and they'll still call it crap. Like.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I made a video about that, where it's just like you could be the most perfect person in the world, and you're always going to find someone who's going to criticize.
Yeah, always those naysayers.
Right. So what was the next thing I was going to ask you about? Do you remember? We talking about the voice, and then.
Oh yeah, and think about like interest or.
Oh yeah, what do you do for hobbies?
What I do for hobbies is I love to paint and draw. Sometimes I do. I just sing when I'm alone, and I do some crocheting, and that has been helping with the PTSD. See, some of this stuff has been beneficial with having schizophrenia. Is something that you need to have your focus on, because if you don't, you're going to miss a stitch or mess it up, and you're going to do something wrong. So that keeps me here in the now, in mindfulness state. See, being in with House Solutions, ATU is because they're only the ones that have really good groups. They're the only ones that, seriously, I'm actually not sponsored by them. They're really good groups. they teach DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy, and which helps with PTSD and emotion regulation, some other things, a lot more things, and it's very helpful. And I'm trying to get into CBT, which is, I forgot what that meant, but I'm trying to get into that. That's the other half of DBT.
And then what does a really good day look like for you?
Really good day looks like I look normal. I look like this normal person. Except when I'm alone in my room, I talk to myself, or either I talk to the voices. I do that, and talk to God, with Jesus too. And doing all this like creativity stuff has been pretty beneficial with having my good days. It makes the good days better. It makes the good days better, and it has been quite nice to finally be at a stable state. I'm stable enough where you just can't tell.
And then what do you think is the biggest thing for you as far as recovery has been?
Biggest thing with recovery is just trying to snap out of the bad habits of going through 6 years of losing my sanity for quite a long time. For 6 years, so I had like 6 years of bad habits to snap out of, and I've been working on that slowly, baby steps. But there's like some things that needed to stop now. Instead of being worked on, it needed to stop now to order to make things work properly, like no more shouting out the window. That one's quite obvious. I should have never done that.
Can you share with us what that looked like when you say shout out the window? Are you talking about like a car? Are you talking about
psychosis in here at my home?
At your house? Okay.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Yelling at things that you thought were outside or something? Or
I was having PTSD and psychosis, so I was detached from reality, and I was reliving my trauma when it was still fresh.
Gotcha.
So I was really intense with it, and I shouted Armageddon or secret government agent or something like that at this certain place, apartments, because I think people are messing with me there, quite literally. They were using my mental illness, and I have this bully though. So, and that's the thing about being diagnosed, is some people will use your mental illness against you just for their own benefit.
Can you talk to us more about that? I feel like there's a ton of stigma around mental illness, schizophrenia, depression, everything. What are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, schizophrenia, it's just, when I was younger, I didn't really understand mental health, but as things went on and seeing like how other people were, I never thought that was going to be me. I never thought that was going to ever be me, but being in hospitals have been beneficial though.
What's it been like for you being stigmatized with?
Oh, that's right, stigmatized. Sorry. See, that's the thing with my condition. I bounce around, so you're actually seeing like a raw, like this, just me. You're just seeing me jumping around on like subjects. And
Brandon and I talked about this outside, and Brandon was saying how he goes on tangents, and I was like, well, I'll try to keep you on track, but I'm kind of just as bad, bro. So we got the blind leading the blind. But tell us the part about being stigmatized, and how do you ever feel like you've been kind of an other after being diagnosed with a mental illness, and what's that been like for you?
Well, trying to be authentic and still having people accept you. Because there's like a lot of things I picked up with my schizophrenia that some people don't really accept, really. There's like some things I do just because I just find it as a tradition or something. But along with the being stigmatized, how I would help somebody is to just give them some educational stuff, and it's very hard to chat with somebody who's constantly like, mocking it and putting it down, but just giving something for education, even just the stigma it's just, it needs to, it's just not needs to, but what I meant is I'm seeing a decrease in that though now these days. I have seen less. Sorry, what did I say?
You said you saw a less. I think you were kind of saying that stigma had decreased.
Oh yeah, the stigma has decreased, and that has made things better. But it's just some people don't understand. They just call you crazy and laugh at you because it's funny for the way you're acting, or how embarrassing yourself. And I actually had these friends, so-called friends, like actually promote my bad behavior on Facebook. I was like going crazy on Facebook when I was delusional, and that was really, really tremendously embarrassing to have
When you say promote, I just had this vision of them videotaping you being psychotic
Yes,
in an episode, and
that has
posting it
happened
on Facebook, and then laughing about it.
Yeah.
Is that, and how did you handle that?
I just had to move on because there's some people doing a lot more embarrassing things, and plus I know I was not in the right state, so I had to be gentle with myself with that. At first it was rough. I'm like, oh, I'm stupid, but once I learned that lesson, I just moved on to being easier with myself and just understand that some people are just uneducated and some people are educated and they just still just don't like you.
Where's your relationship with those people now?
Well, becoming like a peer support, that because I'm gonna lead that to the peer support, because I would want to like promote like people like supporters, like, you know, with people like who have like my parents have a son like me with this disorder, and that has been, I like it would be nice to be there for the supporters and the client, because I know what my parents went through, and they went through quite a bit, and I put them quite a bit, and I did it to myself, and I accept all these things, and I'm moving on, and I'm looking at the mirror now, and instead of blaming everybody, because I was the one who like did all that crazy stuff. Nobody had a gun to my head or anything like that.
You have taken an incredible amount of responsibility for your own emotional well-being and thoughts and perceptions of the world. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that's like? I'm genuinely curious, because sometimes I feel like that's the stance I need to take. And how has your life changed after taking so much personal responsibility for who you are, what happens, things like that?
Well, what really works for me though is Stoicism, like philosophy, being a Stoic, and one big thing, because I was trying to find like an antidote for my behavior to fix it a little bit. Like being a Stoic, like I would complain a lot less, and I will make beautiful choices. If I want to be beautiful, is to make beautiful choices. So I've been doing that, and along with Christianity, that has been the biggest light. Yeah.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah.
We're going on about almost 40 minutes. I say for like part one, we could cut it pretty soon. Is there anything that's super on your mind that you really feel like you want to share with people? I think a lot of people are going to want to see a part two.
Well, I hope so. What I would really love to share with other people is that somebody is going like when somebody's going through a rough day. Yeah, it's just like with people with schizophrenia like I have, it's just, and what others have too, is quite disabling, and it makes people act funny, and I never thought I was going to be this way, and my biggest supporters are my parents, and that's what keeps me out of the streets, and they have endured quite a bit, and whoever is like a client like I would say, I would just say, just take it easy on your supporters, that care for you because they love you quite a bit. And it does hurt them when you do like all those bad things because they really do care. Because I realize when somebody cares, they will tell you when you're doing something wrong. If they don't like you, they will laugh at you because they won't tell you what you're doing wrong. They just want to see you biff it or beef it, whatever you want to call it, and mess up and make you're just free entertainment for them. It's just I just been through that and just wanted to just kind of give out those words.
Sweet brother, thanks for being courageous. I appreciate it. Brandon's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 sometime.